Welcome to Scale Without Chaos, the podcast on business growth, visionary leadership, and scalable systems. Each week, you'll hear real stories, the messy parts, and the proven strategies that help leaders grow without burning out their team or themselves. And yes, you'll definitely hear a few spicy takes along the way. Here are some highlights from this week's episode.
I would say that for almost every industry, the thing that is the most important influencers are this group of 7 or 8 or 9 agents, or 7 or 8 or 9 AI models, and their names are ChatGPT and Claude and Copilot and Grok and Gemini and all their flavors of Gemini.
I would go like, okay, so who are your competitors? And they would give me that list. And then I would do a Google search and show them exactly who their competitors were. So I would call them digital competitors versus their in-person, real-life competitors. And now, this week's episode. I really love your background.
Thank you.
That's
literally a painting that I have.
And is this a painting that you did, or that someone close to you did, or that you purchased?
I bought it. I was actually on vacation in Hong Kong, and I saw it on a street, and I was like, oh, that's like the most calming thing for me. Birch trees, and it reminds me of places I've been, like in, kind of like in Maine, or I don't know where I've been. Or like I spent some time in Russia at one point, and we were in the Finnish Gulf and Finnish Bay, and like birch trees there and these fall colors, and so it just like I felt it was calming.
It does. That was actually the first thing that popped into my head was, oh, that just feels so nice. It's a nice image to have behind you all the time. Nice juxtaposition, I'm sure, for your computer screen in front of you sometimes.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being here today to chat through all things. And it's so cool to me how you meet people, right? And so it's just amazing, I think, when people just kind of drop into your world. And I would say that's definitely what happened with us a little bit. I'll just tell the quick story and then I'll let you introduce yourself. A couple weeks ago, I was incredibly sick. Like, for the first time I've been sick in a while. And our mutual friend, Dustin, reached out to me and said, hey, I had someone drop out of my show last week and we're talking about AI. Would you like to join? And I said, sure. I might have to fake the fact that I'm healthy. I just feel awful, but I'll join. And on that show were you and Sarah. And we had just the best conversation. And I said, I really have to make sure that I get Sam on my podcast. We need to talk about things that scale without chaos. So thank you for joining me for that.
Absolutely. I felt the same way. I was like, I didn't know exactly what I was getting into. And then it ended up being just a fun, interesting conversation. I actually, after the conversation, I kind of went and did some research about things that had been said. And so that's always, it wasn't like, it was really a conversation rather than just like, let me share a few bullets that I have or something.
Right. Oh yeah. It was really in depth, really insightful. And the things that you and Sarah are both doing, and actually Sarah's going to be joining the podcast as well in a couple weeks. But the things that you guys are doing are just so cool. So, I mean, would you just mind kind of introducing yourself, first of all, Sam, because this is the Sam and Sam show today. Introducing yourself, and then just a little bit about what you do, and then we can hop right into it.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Sam Michelson, CEO and founder of 5 Blocks. We are a digital reputation management company. So usually we're working with brands and executives around how they're seen in Google, or how they're seen in Wikipedia, or how they're seen when someone searches them in AI. And we've taken this approach. It's a little bit different, I think, than some of the other approaches we've seen.
Yes.
We don't have this. We don't feel like we need to subvert the algorithms or come up with some tricks or something. It really is. It's really more akin to PR. In the sense that we track how a brand or how an executive looks when you Google them, and we do that using tools that we've created. We track, we analyze it, and then we have an impact on it. We're working with the brand and with their PR firm. So it's like oftentimes it's like there's something going on with a brand or an individual where you look them up online, you're like, wait, why am I seeing just this, this one story about a lawsuit, or why am I
Mhm.
seeing the, this exit that they had 3 years ago, but I'm not seeing any of the great things that they've done in the last 3 years, or whatever. A lot of times it's like an imbalance in how a person or a brand is perceived, and we get brought in to help curate the online presence.
All of the stuff that used to give me insane amounts of heartburn when I was the chief marketing officer for a few different organizations.
Yeah.
Just like, "Oh, wait, what's coming up here? What should we be paying attention to in reputation management?" What really drew me to you, Sam, is the fact that you guys are doing some really cool things with technology in reputation management. And can you just kind of give the listeners here just an overview? Because what I'm finding is that everyone is kind of dabbling in AI and no one really knows how to pull it all together because there's so many different things that you can do. And so the best way that I've found to educate people is just say, you know what, here's what's out there. I think there could probably be an entire separate MarTech stack right now of just AI tools outside of the regular MarTech board or the universe that's always created. So anyway, I went on a little bit of a tangent, but can you just kind of explain for everyone what you do because it is so incredibly cool?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I would put it this way. Let's say for that you are, let's say you're an insurance company,
Mhm.
and one of the things that you care about a lot is how are we seen if people search us? Like, is this company a good choice? What are they known for? Any red flags working with them? So in the past, people would do. In the past, the way that you did it was you would go to Google and you look up the brand, and then you kind of poke around and see like what are the
Yeah,
ratings, read the reviews, and so on. And so a lot of our business is around that. It's like managing the way that a brand looks. And so what we're doing, so on that side, that's less the AI side. We do that tracking where we just ask Google that question or ask Google that query every day, take all that content in, what's on page one, what's on page two, collate all that information, and then do that on an everyday basis. And then I think a lot of people are aware that if you search a brand you're in Omaha, Nebraska, you're going to get a different result than if you are in Peoria, Illinois, than if you're
right.
in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
or anywhere else. And certainly if you're overseas or searching in another language. So collecting the data, the first thing we do is just collect lots of data. That's on the Google side of things. And then we help you visualize it and track it and understand it and what can you do about it. So when it comes to AI, I think a lot of people it feels so much more. How is my brand being seen in AI is much more complicated question because
For
of a
sure.
few things. One is
Yes.
one is people can ask that question 100 different ways. Like in Google, if I wanted to look up, a name of a person or a name of a brand, I'm probably just going to look up the name of that person or the brand and maybe just a one word about the topic. Like, I'm thinking maybe I want to know what it's like to work at Best Buy. I might look up Best Buy careers or working at Best Buy, but I'm definitely not going to do a really complicated, like I'm deciding between a job at company A, company B. And I want to know what are aside from pay and so the way that people are searching in AI is quite different. They're going right for the jugular. They're
Mhm.
actually saying, this is
Yes.
the exact information I want to know.
Yeah.
And so I'm not interested in you bringing me back as in Google. I'm not interested in you saying, here's a reading list for you. Because Google's really like, here's a reading list. Here are 10 articles you might want to read.
That's
And
a
what do
great
we
way to
actually
put
do?
it.
Well, we kind of like click a little bit and we kind of skip through. We try to read the title and hopefully we can understand what it means from that. And then maybe we read a little bit. Well, the last place we're going to read usually about a brand is like on their own website. If we're trying to get a read, they're never going to say
Yeah.
we have some reasonable issues. But I'm going to read, on some review site, or I'll read maybe there was a New York Times article recently, and I'll check that out. And so that's one change is that people are searching in a radically different way. And the other one is that their expectations of the search engine are so much beyond what they used to be. Like in Google, we're like, just give me a good reading list. This is amazing. And in AI, we're like, I want you to not just read the first 10 items on the reading list. I want you to read 100
Mhm.
items on the reading list.
Mhm.
I want you to test it all and then bring it all together, throw out the unimportant or uninteresting information, collate it all for me and get me a cohesive answer. And by the way, if you could put it into report format, I can send it to my boss. That would be amazing. Like,
Right.
so I, the paradigm shift is, it's not like we've been a small incremental change, like, oh, search engines have gotten a bit better or something. This is like we are searching in a completely different way. Our expectations are a different thing, and the search engine is so much more capable. And of course, anybody listening is going to say, well, we know that there can be hallucinations, and the search and the AI models are definitely going to get some of this stuff wrong.
Yeah.
And my answer to that is yes, that is true. And yet it is so compelling because, first of all, they don't get most things wrong. And we can limit it. We can tell the AI, I want you to use only these kinds of sources. I want you to always tell me what your sources are. For important things, we can check those sources. It's better to have an assistant who does an amazing job, but sometimes get things wrong, than not to have the assistant.
Uh,
And so I think
yep.
that that's where we are. Where is if they and the other thing is they're getting better and better. So where yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask you. Okay, so that's all. Like that's a better synopsis of where everybody is at than I could have ever hoped to try and convey. Thank you, Sam.
Right.
What do you guys do?
Whatever we do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what is
So
the okay, so
that's
that's all crazy. That's all happening, but you guys make it better. I know you do.
right. So that's kind of the setup. The setup is we're in a much more complicated, we're a much more exciting environment, but it's also super complicated because now, and the other big complication is in Google, when I was searching, if I say to you, I went and searched online, pretty much know I meant Google.
Yeah.
Like you're not thinking, oh, I went to AOL and did that search, or you went to Yahoo. Yeah, you could search in Bing, you could search in, there are other search engines in DuckDuckGo. But usually people aren't being Google. When I say I did something on an AI search, actually I could mean Gemini or
Interesting.
Perplexity or Grok or AI overview right within Google or Claude, one of my favorites. Or and other ones that are all the time. Like
Yeah.
there are so many different ways that you could get you could search. So now I want to know, like, how is my brand represented in AI, or how are people thinking about us when it comes to this topic, or what do you think about this? I've got a few candidates, I want to figure out which of these is a better candidate. I mean, there's so many different ways to ask that questions, and and then there's so many different engines that I could ask it to. So we approach this kind of complicated situation from we're trying to get the same kind of simplicity and straight thinking that we got when we were helping brands, as we still do, optimize for Google. So when
Mhm.
in Google, we're like, we do that search on page one in Google, page two in Google, and then we do that across different locations, and we can kind of collate that and visualize it for you. So in AI, it's obviously much more complicated. What we're doing now is we typically think about topics rather than keywords. So
Good
a
call. Yeah.
topic is it's like, and it actually used to, things have, even over the last like 2 or 3 years, things have changed dramatically. It used to be that if you asked the question one way in ChatGPT, you would get a completely different answer than if you asked it a different way. And what has happened over time is that we have seen more consistency. If I say, what is it like to work at Best Buy, or is how safe is it to fly this airline or something like that? It doesn't matter terribly much how you phrase that question now. If you look at a day after day after day, if you look at the last month, those answers are going to be fairly consistent for ChatGPT, regardless of how I ask the question. If I ask it a little bit different way, use different verbiage, you'll see pretty good consistency. You'll also see fairly good consistency across the different AI models. As they've gotten better,
Mhm.
they've actually got more similar. So ChatGPT and Gemini, Copilot, Perplexity, and Grok, and Claude, and and Copilot, they all are going to as many different sources they can, which means that they're kind of all reading some version of as much of the internet as they can swallow.
Right.
And when you have that much information, you oftentimes come to very similar conclusions. And so I think early on they didn't have as much access. They were what we're seeing is that there is a fairly good amount of consistency. It is important to see what is being said, and what we're doing is the following. We've created a platform. It's called AIQ. It is you can look it up online, and it is actually a platform you can subscribe to, and you can take a look and see what is happening. If you subscribe, you can put in any topic around any brand, and it will on a daily basis go to those different AI models, ask the same prompt across all of them, collate all the information and say, the AI models are saying the following. And because these answers can be quite long, we give you all those answers if you want to look at them. But what we do is we summarize them all for you. We say, here are the top points. When people ask about this brand or they ask about this topic, here are the top points. The first point that the most of that, that the largest amount agree on is that the company is blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
They all mentioned, here, fewer of them mentioned this topic and fewer of them mentioned the following topic. So you can kind of get like a executive summary of this is what's happening for this topic in AI. And then the other part that's, I think, really important is, and where is it coming from? What are the
Mhm.
sources these AI models, use? It's funny because if you think back, in the distant past of AI, like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago,
Yes.
it, most of the AI models were not giving us sources. Like even ChatGPT was not giving sources. So you would like, you ask the question or just whole answer. And then you're like, what, why, where, now now there's a process in which they start to create their answer. You ask the question, you ask the prompt, it goes out and it queries the model, figures out what it knows. Then it goes to the live web and tries to supplement that with new information where necessary
Mhm.
and bring live, links. So you get an answer and it says, this brand is known for this. Here are some problem areas it has. This is what's recently going on or whatever. And for each one of those, it'll typically give you one or two or three sources. It'll say this came from the New York Times and that came from Wikipedia. This came from the corporate website. And
Yes.
so the snapshot we're getting brands is here is what the AI models that you chose are telling us.
Mhm.
And here are the main sources that they are utilizing. Now, this is so helpful and sometimes not obvious. Like when we show this to brands, a lot of times they're like, wait a minute, they're getting the information about how people think about our brand from our own website.
Yeah.
Like that's daunting and shocking. You're like, wait, I would have thought that what people think about our brand would be mostly coming from Indeed and Glassdoor and some of the and Comparably and whatever, whatever these kind of like comparison websites.
Right.
And so there's a lot of really interesting information that's hiding in this analysis.
It's really funny. It reminds me of when I used to show my employers when I was doing marketing. So I would go like, okay, so who are your competitors? And they would give me that list. And then I would do a Google search and show them exactly who their competitors were. So I would call them digital competitors versus their in person, real life competitors. And that list never matched. And everyone was like, their mind was just blown. Like, oh my gosh, we didn't even think of that. I'm like, yeah, well, these are the people who are paying against you for these same keywords. It all happens in the same way. So it's really interesting to hear it. I mean, it's just the next iteration of what this is.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think it's exactly right. It's like it's a different slice of things. Like everything
Yeah.
that the brand thinks about itself, like is important. They need to keep doing that. But there's another way of saying it is like the most important influencers. If you think about like things that are influencing public opinion,
Yeah.
influencing buying, influencing decision making, more than if I could say like, in each industry, you might say, well, this person is the main person and that person, and this this magazine writes a lot about this newspaper. I would say that for almost every industry, the thing that is the most important influencers are this group of 7 or 8 or 9 agents or 7 or 8 or 9 AI models, and
Yeah.
their names are ChatGPT and Claude and Copilot and Grok and Gemini and all their flavors of Gemini and so on. So like I think that those are the things. So you gotta know what is it they think about you. Like
Yeah.
they are and if a lot of times when you notice that they are off, like they think that the biggest challenge facing your company is this, but actually that's a challenge you've solved. You really, really need to make sure, like, why aren't they understanding that we don't have that sustainability issue that we were called out for last year? We've actually addressed that completely. It turned out that it wasn't a thought, and we have why are they not seeing that article? Why? And then the cheat sheet for that is a lot of times if you can go and like we were looking at we work a lot with financial services companies. We were looking at a group of private equity firms and looking at and all things they were looking at sustainability. How are they thought of it in terms of their own policies on sustainability? And what was interesting was one of the company that we were working with noticed that some of the competitors had like a better rating. The AI models were treating them better, and they're like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Like we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
We're all, we all have the same initiatives. Like what's going on? And what we found was that one of the companies that was doing better seemed to be doing better because they literally had a mini site about sustainability. Like the fact that
I've built
sustainabilitycompanyx.com
those.
was it,
I've built those sites. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you think when you do that, I mean, first of all, it turns out for Google, those can be a good idea because if someone's looking for sustainability for your company and you have a whole site associated with it, then it's gonna be more likely to rank than if it's just a page or if it's just a mention or something like that.
Hmm.
But it was interesting was that subtly it was giving the message to the AIs that this must be a really important um, piece of the company or
Yeah.
something. This is a focus area because they've gone and built a subdomain about it or a mini site.
Hmm.
So you don't think about those things. And once you see it, and particularly when you see it in your competitors' online presence, and you see how the AIs are giving them like a better shake because of that, then it becomes obvious. Like, wait, this sounds like this is like the easiest thing we could do is take this true information that we have and just present it in a way that the AI models will understand it in a way that's more beneficial for us.
I once did some work with actually, I can't remember which national publication called them out, but they had a list of the top 10 most hated companies in America. And I worked
Wow.
with number one. It was a lot of fun, actually. It was way back. I'm gonna call it way back in the day. Back when like it was the iPhone 4 that was out. So that just gives you an idea. And they had a huge reputation management problem, all kinds of stuff that was going on. And I was on the digital team that helped them to do training with their customer success representatives. And I helped do the website with them and then figure out how to make information more accessible, all that kind of stuff. And the big one was obviously the fact that they had this huge piece of PR content out in the world that said, "Hey, this company is the most hated company in America." And so the quote that always stuck with me was the solution to pollution is dilution, right? That's the only way you can do it. And that's exactly what you're talking about here is you have to dilute with even more meaningful stuff to kind
Yep.
of push that down. And having this
Yep.
tool out there that's looking at this for you, that's exactly what you're doing is you're finding where that pollution is so that you can figure out how to dilute it and how to actually make it even that better. I'm sure that's everything that you do, right, Sam? That's all of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It is. That's certainly the beginning of it. The next part of it, I think, is like saying we kind of want to take a client from the place where they're like, this is what I don't like,
Yeah.
and this is what I not see, to this place of like, what do I want to see? Like, how do? And a lot of times, like, as a business owner myself, I'm always thinking about the like, I have to kind of shift gears a lot of times. I'm like, we do so many things really amazingly, but if you ask me what's going on in business, I'm a lot of times going to focus on the thing that we don't do well enough. Like, oh, we need to get
Mhm.
better at this.
Mhm.
And so we want to take the client from the place of like, okay, this is an area where we need help and we need to address it and help them do that. And that frees them to say, okay, now that we can breathe a little bit, because now we are diluting this old story. We're presenting the newer version of it, whatever it is. Now you say to the person, like, you're in the driver's seat.
Right.
You as the head of communications or the CCO or the PR person. You're now in the driver's seat. So like, what do you want? Like, and then
Yeah.
showing them like these are you told us about your peers, your competitors, your aspirational peers as a company or as an individual. Like let's go see everything that they've got that's working for them and let's figure out like what can you do, and like let's use data, not like like, oh, I wish I had that and I wish I had that. Let's just go and see like how they did it. Like why does video content show up for them? We've got video content. Why is our video content not showing up? You can kind of look at that and say, first of all, let's look at 10 competitors. Is video content usually there? Are we the only ones that don't have it? Just level set expectations and get context and just say like, nobody has video content on page one. That maybe video content isn't the natural thing to be on page one for your brand. Like
Mhm.
if you're none of your, like some of you go like, oh, but I looked in another industry and they always have video. Well, maybe that's an industry thing, so just like get the context and like, and then freeing a brand to kind of think of like beyond the band-aids that they want to put on or the real cures that they want to for the trouble areas. Now they're like, okay, but now what would be the ideal? What's going to bring in more business? What's going to make us more understood? How are we going to get, so for some business, like we want to get better coverage, or we want people when they're in the decision-making process to find all the right pieces of information, whatever their goals are. Like, let's unravel how our smartest competitors either purposefully or accidentally achieving the things that we want to achieve it, and then just unravel that and see like what are they doing, what is working best for them, and how do we take a page from their book, or maybe how do we outdo that?
Yes. So let's talk about that a little bit more then. So what I know there are some very specific things that you and your team do that I think are so cool.
Yeah,
That are very helpful. And I think going into the Wikipedia part of your business would actually be helpful for a lot of the listeners here, if you don't mind talking about that.
for sure, for sure. And I have to say, like, I think I'm in the same boat as everybody. I was certainly in the same boat as everyone else when it came to Wikipedia. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
view it as there's super annoying a property online. Like, I mean, we know that it can be useful for us when we need to get some information. I mean, I think everybody has a sense that, like, on the one hand, it's really useful because I can quickly get some information about a brand. On the other hand, we know that it's crowdsourced, so it could be wrong. There could be some interested parties who are pushing an article in a certain direction. So, our my history with Wikipedia started, back, years ago when we basically tried to avoid it at all costs. Like clients would be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
yeah," and our response was like, "That's a dangerous place. Do
Yeah.
danger, danger. Do not go there." But over time, I think all of us have realized that for certainly for a bigger brand or a brand or an individual who's gotten a lot of attention, Wikipedia it's going to often be there. And so it's going to be part of your story. So the question is more, it's not whether you're going to do something with Wikipedia, but what are you going to do? So when it comes to Wikipedia, the main thing we're thinking about is it's a really important asset to have online. And so you cannot ignore it. And the most important thing is you need to track what's happening there. You have to understand and then figure out what is the best way. If you're very happy with it, then obviously leave it. If there's concern, which there often are, or things that need to be edited or updated, then our advice is based on lots and lots of years of experience is that there is one good way to interact with Wikipedia, and that is through what's called disclosed editing or disclosed conflict of interest editing.
Mhm.
And that process, it sounds complicated. It is a little bit complicated, but I'll try to simplify. And I'll simplify by saying this: you're allowed to be a part of the conversation about a Wikipedia page that is about your brand. However, you are not meant to, according to the terms of service of Wikipedia, you're not meant to do that without being transparent about
Right.
the fact that you have that relationship. And so, because of that, the right way and the best, most effective way to interact with Wikipedia is through disclosure, and that means that practically, if you have a page about your brand or about your client's brand or whatever it is in Wikipedia, then the right way to engage is to create a Wikipedia account. You can name it anything you want. It could be Fluffy the cat or whatever you want. On the page where you create that, or on the talk page that you want to in Wikipedia, that every page has also what's called a talk page. That's the discussion page
Mhm.
about a page.
Mhm.
You're not editing. You're editing the discussion. You're allowed to go in there and say, "Hi, I am Fluffy the cat, and I am working on behalf of Company X."
Mhm.
And because of that, I will not be editing the page directly. Instead, I will be making recommendations and suggestions to improve this page in accordance with Wikipedia guidelines. I'm simplifying a little bit, but that's basically the kind of declaration. What that does is
Interesting.
it
Yeah.
it, go-
I was just saying
it
that's
tells
really interesting.
yeah, it tells the editors that are looking at that page that you are being transparent, and that while you have some sort of relationship, either you are the company or you are working on behalf of the company, you are being transparent about it. And because of that, you're not going to break any rules. You're not going to go in and start whitewashing the page and putting in, flowery language about how wonderful the brand is. Instead, you're showing respect for the fact that this is a community of editors, and that they have a certain set of guidelines, and you want to play according to their rules. So it's kind of like walking into I say use the metaphor. You're in a foreign country, and you walk into a saloon or something. It would be really good idea to know what the etiquette is in
Mhm.
that place, or you walk in and slam your fist down on the bar and say, "Give me a beer." It could be that that's an extremely rude thing to do in that culture, and no one's going to want to give you a beer. So it's you've walked into Wikipedia. It is a community that has very specific ways that they act, and very specific things that upset them. And I think a lot of times, and myself included, when you the first time that you go to engage in a Wikipedia discussion or make an edit, you just figure, well, this is an editable page. I'll just go in there and make it right.
Yeah.
I would have worked. And so I think that that's the biggest mistake. And the most important thing is to realize that you're walking into this platform that has rules and regulations, that people there respect those rules, and that when you're an outsider and you signal to everyone that you don't respect them, you're going to get slammed. And you can see a lot of pages. If you poke around online, you look at even very large companies. A lot of times you'll see like a warning that's right on top of their page. It says this page looks like it was edited by someone with a close association with the brand.
Hmm.
This may have been editing. And all of those things can be avoided if you instead make a declaration, work through the community. It's not easy,
Hmm.
and it's time consuming. And we have a team of I think 12 people or 13 people who do this disclose editing on behalf of clients together with the client. The client literally holds the keys to the account. They're the ones who are posting. We help them formulate it, but they're literally cutting and pasting and posting these requests.
Yeah.
And the approach to kind of overhaul a page is typically 3-4 months of back and forth with the editing community that takes the page from not very good to a page that's really representative, doesn't have these crazy sections in it that people add, like controversy sections, doesn't have like these a lot of times very, very long paragraphs that go on and on and on about a
Yeah.
lawsuit that happened,
Ooh.
when a lawsuit should really be in 2023, the company was sued for this. They eventually settled out of court or whatever. Like that's what a Wikipedia page should have, not a soap opera play-by-play kind of thing. So that's in a nutshell how we work on Wikipedia. It's really important to know what kind of platform you're taking part in, and then and it's super important as you can imagine, as AI models. They all have access. Every single AI model we've looked at
Yeah.
has full access to Wikipedia immediately, and they are going to use it to fill in any information that they can't find easily elsewhere. So it's always going to be a good idea to make sure that the information there is accurate and is not too negative, in an outsized way, and so on.
Yeah. So I'm curious, do you have any stories of you and your team editing something in Wikipedia and then getting the better result in AI? Do you have anything like that that you can share?
Absolutely. I can't. I wouldn't share the name of a client, but I can kind of lay it out for you. We've had Wikipedia pages that we work. So there's editing Wikipedia, there's launching a new Wikipedia page,
Yeah.
and when we have launched Wikipedia pages on behalf of a brand or an executive, where we're constantly searching. We have an assistant that's searching Google on a daily basis, and then get the page launched. There's something that Wikipedia does, which is called patrolling. And it means that a page is launched, it's live on the site, but it's not yet turned on for crawlers, like for Google
Yeah.
or AI to see.
Yeah.
And when they do that kind of patrolling, it can happen in a few days, it can happen in 3 weeks or something like that. But when they do the patrolling, there's a feed in Wikipedia's RSS feed that shows you when something's been patrolled, and now it's kind of live. We have done this experiment where we helped launch a page for an individual who had some good articles about them, but not a very cohesive online presence.
Hmm.
And after the launch of a Wikipedia page, AI models, we saw like within minutes, every AI model we looked at was referencing Wikipedia and picking up their narrative almost word for word from Wikipedia. So
Wow.
I think it's crazy. I mean, it's so fast. It's faster than Google. Like Google will see a new Wikipedia page, and over the course of typically of a few weeks, you'll start to see that page move up. It'll be on page 2. It'll be eventually on page 1. Eventually, it'll make its way to the knowledge panel on the right hand side.
Hmm.
In AI, it's minutes. It's like almost instantaneous. And so and the same is true with correcting mistakes. Like I actually don't even remember the name of it. It was a firm recently. Where something was misidentified, and it came up in Wikipedia. It got changed, and Google continued to have the wrong information for another week or two. AI models fixed it immediately because they actually are grabbing live data from Wikipedia like on the spot.
It's crazy. So cool. So cool, but it's also crazy. It's crazy to wrap
Yeah,
your
yeah,
mind around it, definitely. Um, that's amazing. When I heard about your Wikipedia team, I was just like, of course. Of course. It makes so much sense. It's like you keep your friends close and your enemies closer, talking about we used to avoid Wikipedia at all costs, just don't go there. That's the dark place. But now you're like, no, we're leaning in. We've got a whole team now, and you figured out how to absolutely conquer it, which is cool. And there's so many brands out there that could use exactly that service. I mean, I can't think of one that couldn't actually on
yeah,
some level. It's just so important. It's one of those things that is so time consuming, as you know better than anybody, that most folks don't touch it just for that reason. Not even necessarily that it's I guess a liability to their brand. It's more or less just I don't have the time and my team doesn't have the time to go mess with it. So it's really cool that you guys provide that service and layer it in with AI and the tools that you're already using to be able to justify that cost, right? So to be able to justify the time, the investment, look, we fix this within minutes when it comes to AI.
yeah. Absolutely. One other thing I'll say is tracking. We actually created we created an internal tool which we've now made public. It's called Wiki Alerts, and it's a free tool. You can go and register any Wikipedia page that you want to track, like your own brand or your client's brands. And what it'll do is, if you want, it'll email you anytime there's a substantive error, substantive edit, and it'll send you an email. It'll say this was what was edited. Here's the person that edited, and it'll actually show you like track changes, like in Google, like or like in Word. Like it'll say this is what was crossed out, this is what was added. We were doing that internally because we needed to track it ourselves, and
Yeah.
we the Wikipedia's own tracking system uses like an RSS feed. It's not the most convenient. Um, it's not the most convenient way to track that. But so if anybody's interested, they can. It's a free tool. Feel free to track any Wikipedia page you want. We think that that's the most important thing, is just at least know what's going on. And the other thing that it does is it tracks the talk pages. So where the places where there are conversations going on about your page. Like if sometimes someone like goes in and they go, oh, hey, I think we need to add a new controversy section because blah, blah, blah happened. Like you actually want to know that that conversation's happening so that you can weigh in on it, or that someone on your behalf can weigh in on that. So, I mean, obviously you don't want to, what you never do, we found out the hard way years ago, what you never do is like, get all your friends to why don't you guys all go to that page and vote for me and tell everyone.
Mhm.
Just doesn't work. I mean, if it worked, I would say, great, do it. It just doesn't work. The right thing to do is to go through the front door and say, hey, I'm representing this brand. I see that you guys are trying to, this thing you're calling a controversy is actually a lawsuit that was settled. And therefore, at the most, you should add one line that says there was a lawsuit that was settled.
Yeah.
Like help diffuse it. So anyway, that's I think that for any platform that you care about, it's just really important to be tracking it with regularly, just figure out what's happening there so you don't get caught off guard, like where someone's trying to delete your page. Sometimes that happens, like a brand is, and then they go, well, actually I think the page should be deleted. Now if you don't even know that's going on, they could get a few like-minded people. They go, well, I don't know much about bond trading. That doesn't seem like a very important company. So we think that it should be deleted because it looks like this page was created as as an advertising tactic or something, which made it be completely untrue. So it's just like really important to kind of keep your fingers on the pulse.
Yeah, definitely. So just to recap one more time. So the publicly available tools that you have right now, their names again and where folks can find them.
Sure. So AIQ is our AI tracker analyzer. And it's like, you just look up 5blocks AIQ. It's aiq.5blocks.com. And then Wiki Alerts is wikialerts.5blocks.com. And that's the Wikipedia tracker. We have a couple other cool tools that you can, there's something called, that's called GeoSearch, which is a Chrome plugin, which is free. And it just lets you search Google as if you were anywhere else in the world in any other language. So you could go and say, oh, I wonder how we look in Madrid in Spanish. And you just put that in there and it'll give you the Google result as if you were, in Madrid and searching in Spanish. And so it could be when I'm on, you might be traveling and doing work for someone. So you're overseas. I climbed Kilimanjaro recently. So I was over in Tanzania, and I was working with a client. I was in the lounge in the airport, and I was like and I was actually looking, but I wanted to see the New York results. So I literally just popped this open and said, show me the results as they would be seen in English in New York, so that I don't start to see like the Tanzania kind of results or something like that. So that's another free tool. It's just called GeoSearch.
I feel like you definitely buried the lead the whole podcast now, just very at the very end, Sam, noting that you just climbed Kilimanjaro. Congratulations, first of all. That's a great accomplishment. That's amazing.
Thank you, thank you. One thing, if I climbed it, I'm talking about, it can't be that hard. So
Oh, no,
it
no,
is.
no, no. That's not true. I'm sure. How long did you have to train and get ready and all of the things for that?
Well, I'm a mountain biker, so
Oh, okay.
I I cheated. I did not actually train for it, and I just hoped that mountain biking would be similar enough to mountain climbing, and it is a little bit, but not completely. So my advice is probably worth a little bit more training next time around.
Yeah, I don't have that one on my list yet. I really wanna go I'm on the Alaska side right now. I just wanna go do the national parks in Alaska, go hike out there. That's my next, big vacation, but maybe someday before
Yeah,
I can't hike anymore. We'll see. But yeah,
that would be my recommendation. I have that because I climbed there. I think I have the right clothes, so I can go to Alaska
there you
because we
go.
needed to like all the layers and everything. So I think I'm halfway there because buying all the equipment and clothes, it was like, I think Amazon did very well on my trip, because it turns out many more kinds of clothing that that I usually need.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I can't even imagine. I've never even researched what it would be like to need what you would need. I had other
Yeah,
colleagues from Bulgaria when I worked at the company there, that did climb Kilimanjaro, like took some time off from work and I was like, "Where are you going?" And it was just nonchalantly saying, "Oh yeah, we're hiking Kilimanjaro." Like, "Oh, well,
yeah,
that's amazing, and I can't believe how nonchalant you are about it. That's great." But I've never done any research into what it would take, so maybe someday.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. As always, Sam, great conversation. I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's fun conversation, and good speaking with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, tune in to Scale Without Chaos. We'll be out again with a new episode next Wednesday. Thanks so much. Thank you for tuning in to Scale Without Chaos. If today's episode sparked new ideas or gave you a fresh perspective, do me a favor. Hit that follow button, subscribe for new episodes, and share this with someone who's going through what we talked about today. This podcast is all about visionary leadership, sustainable business growth, and the systems that make scale possible. For more content, free resources, and behind-the-scenes insights, connect with me on LinkedIn, follow along on Instagram at Scale Without Chaos, and subscribe to the newsletter.